So topics for today. So a recap of inPower 2024, what the event was like. Just some good core information for, I know many of you that are out there have attended this year or maybe in the past, and others that were not able to attend. And so we're working to deliver messaging to both of those profiles. ISE is an Infor XA channel partner, so we stay very aligned to like many of the other channel partners do on what's going on with XA. And we had a very large XA contingency at the event. So we want to cover some key announcements regarding XA, both for the immediate and the longer term strategy. And then also some pre-announcements of inPower 2025 plans as well. So those will be the three key areas of the event today. Just from recap, really this show doesn't happen without the continued efforts of the user groups, the Enterprise Integrator User Group, LX, XA, and System 21. The vast majority of the content is handled by those user groups. A lot of the logistics of the rooms, the sessions, the speakers, you name it. These are all people with a regular day job, working with their corresponding ERPs and stepping up just out of the goodness of their heart to strengthen the community and to make this event happen. So big shout out to everybody in those user groups. Attendance, we had over 450 people total this year. 270 attendees were from customer attendees from over 100 companies. This was our largest event since COVID. The year after COVID, we had 55 user attendees. So we've gone up to 55 to over 200 to now over 270 in our fourth year. So really happy with the growth that we're seeing, really happy with the participation that we're seeing. We also had 35 partners. Partners do a lot for us as far as the logistics of the event, support of the event, you name it. And a key focus of the event is to hold enrollment fees for customers near or under $1,000 for the entire event. So we made that this year at $995, meaning you could attend Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning, all for a low fee of $1,000. So our goal there is to get as many people here and not have the cost of the event be prohibited from attending. Well over 150 sessions aligned to all three ERPs, System 21, XA, and LX. Those three ERP systems all run on the IBM platform, and they are all covered by the Infor Compass group. So there's some very strong alignment there. Every attendee who's there knows that if they're talking to another attendee, they're at least running on an IBM footprint, and they're running Infor software on that footprint. So some really tight alignment there. From a session point of view, we had up to 11 simultaneous sessions, 3.5 days of content starting on Monday going through Thursday morning. That content covers technical, functional, and industry content. This year, our keynote session had an AI focus. Had some really good feedback on that. I'll talk a little bit about that as we go through this. And backed by popular demand again was these Wednesday educational days, where it was basically consultants or users in the field talking about key functional capabilities within their ERP system. It's been very popular to actually dive in deeper into 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour types of educational sessions. Also had expanded commitment from our sponsors. So Infor and IBM with joint messaging in the keynote. I really stress how important this is. This is something that over the course of the years, that messaging has gotten stronger. Bill Valente, the GM and Executive VP for Compass North Americas, and Steve Will, the CTO from IBM. Just having those two guys on the stage speaking about their strategies, speaking about the alignment between the two companies, this year talking about AI and direction. That's something we didn't hear a few years ago. I love the fact that IBM and Infor have made that effort to really align the two product lines, align the directions and the strategy so people can come to one event and make sure that they're covered on both sides there, the IBM and the Infor platforms. We had a lot of partners focused on Infor. They're all focused on either Infor platforms or manufacturing, oftentimes both. So the partners are extremely aligned as well. And that partner funding is what helps to keep our enrollment pricing affordable. So the partners pay at different levels to attend, and they help to keep that price under $1,000 that I just mentioned. So that's kind of a high level overview. The next question we've gotten, and we made a lot of progress on this, is how do you find content from the event this year? And we've been over the last month taking a lot of efforts to get the content available to you. Right here, I'm just going to click on the Infor or the inPower 24 website. And this website should look familiar to most of you, as it's the same site as you used to enroll. And if you go to this session tab right here and click on that, that will show you all of the sessions that were presented, and with many good filtering options, many ways to show you what was presented, by whom, what times, you name it. So in this case, I'm just going to say that I want to look for XA and I want to look for release 11. So in that case, it's quickly filtered down to, okay, there was a release 11 roadmap. There's some PDM to EPDM discussions that have some impact on release 11, tracking bar stocks. Some of these might be specific to 11, they might be specific to XA in general, but all of them have consideration for both. Enterprise financials, some of the key points there, the XA 11 overview, planning your upgrade, you name it, lots and lots of sessions there. If you want a presentation, it's as easy as if you attended this year, you have this ability to click on these presentations and see the roadmap, grab it in PDF. And here's Ross's session on the roadmap, and taking you right through. And you've got, of course, the ability to download and take that for your review, getting to other people in your organization, you name it. So very, very good option there. We also ask you that from that website that you also complete your surveys. So again, going back to that session tab, I'm gonna go right here and grab that. You'll see that in each case you can fill out a review. We ask that you do fill out those reviews. The user groups use a lot of the information that comes in, and it's right here under survey results. Clicking on there, you'll see I have a survey analysis. I'm at an administrator level, but if you go in and manage the survey, it'll then call up directly and allow you to pick. Basically, it's 5 or 6, 7 simple questions at times of just how did you feel about this event, this particular session. That was open, by the way, at the conference. We started a new approach with QR codes. We want to streamline that next year again. So I thought we made really good progress this year. But the bottom line is those surveys, if you can get over the hurdle of feeling I just don't have time and I don't want to take a survey, it's really, really helpful to the user groups of how certain sessions were received, how speakers were received, the knowledge that the speakers bring, the pertinence to this particular session, you name it. So I realize some time has passed here, but what we do want to do is have this available next year during the event. And we welcome any input you have right now on that session content. I'll show you a little bit more on the searching as well. You've got the option to pick by your ERP. Let's go to XA and say that I want to pick not on NetLink or on release 11, but let's go to finance. And here you could see that now I can see we've got Cobweb with their AP automation tools. We've got Greg and Dave talking about Cashbook, security management, you name it. So in this case, there's probably 10 or 15 that are not specifically on finance and XA alone. So a good way to search through that. You can also search by day if you're wondering about specific days that you were attending. Right here, if you remember that, okay, I'm not even sure exactly what the content was, but I know it was on Wednesday. You can go back and actually pick the day by picking on the session content. Let me get to that one again. So there's lots and lots of ways to get to the content. We are working on that again for next year to elaborate those options too, so you can do more to build your session calendar. Get that on your Outlook calendar, you name it. So in this case, I could pick and say, show me everything on Wednesday at specific times. So that is all in the current website, remaining fully functional. So we ask you to go ahead and use that. Fill out the survey so we get more information from you on that. The other thing, inPower has just rolled out a site on the inPower website, specifically aligned to the IBMI Technology Conference, the inPower Conference. There's information on their AI content that was at the event. inPower also ran an 8-part modernization series that you can go to and review those recorded sessions. Here are the 3 roadmap sessions that are available, both for LX, XA, and System 21, readily available there. Here's the more details on the 8-part series, and you name it. So inPower very, very aligned in supporting the conference, the content, after the content support, you name it. If you want more information, I'd also encourage you to reach out to the presenter for any of these sessions. If you don't know how to reach out to that presenter, a really good option is to check with your channel partner, check with inPower. If you're striking out there, check with me and we can get you connected. These are all people who made presentations, invested in them, and you know, they were experts in their sessions. So we encourage you to reach out. If any of these 2 first options don't work for you, let's have you reach out to those presenters directly. From an XA strategy now, we want to get into a little bit of specifics on XA. Monica, any questions that have popped up here so far?
Just a couple of comments, but no specific questions yet.
Okay, we'll come back to those comments. Great. XA strategy, specifically XA scope and timing. inPower had a lot of coverage at the conference. I think it answers a lot of questions and raises a few more. Enterprise financials, it's one of the prerequisites for going to XA11, but it's a big lift sometimes to get from where you are in the current financials footprints of either AM or IFM, and then the AI messaging in general at inPower. So I want to cover a little bit on each of those. From an XA strategy, one of the biggest announcements at the conference was release 11. Ross kind of walked and talked us through us of XA11 having minor releases. The first version, the limited availability, has been made available to the channel. So we are working with inPower, Ross, the product management team, you name it, to start looking at XA11. And we love the fact that it is made available earlier. There also are some customers that have stepped up and that are willing to take that on and start testing XA11 within their environment. So, you know, great option to get this out in the field and get it into the hands who can kick the tires and try to break it, right? From there, the target dates, and you notice these are circled in a square here of these dates may change, but the target dates are version 11.0, availability target date of April 15th. And we go to limited availability for 11.1, target date for late in 2025 for 11.1, 11.2, limited availability soon after, and it goes from there. So this is probably the most structured release model that I've seen from inPower in a long time as far as the next releases coming out. You know, the dot releases being defined and so on, and some target dates. Now, you might be wondering, okay, what's in those different versions? In 11.0, there's focus on materials, labor, quality, shop floor, OBPM, and electronic commerce. Those are some very stated, already available in pre-release and actively testing. 11.1 is pick and ship basic. 11.2, pick, ship advanced. 11.3, pick, ship, and pick, pack, and ship complete. You'll notice here this term called activation. And activation's been around for a while. If you think of, if you've gone from PDM to EPDM, when you went to EPDM, EPDM was just turned on. There was no looking back to go to PDM and get to a green screen equivalent. There is no green screen equivalent. We saw the same with enterprise financials. Once you turn it on, you're there. There's no more IFM or AM been running in the background. So inPower's embracing that strategy for activation as an answer that says, once you go there, we're going to turn it on and you will be in the IDF, the Info Development Framework, PowerLink and NetLink capabilities. So some more structure there, and it's really Infor as they're moving forward with more and more technology and functionality that is only available to you in PowerLink and NetLink. And the longer term strategy will be NetLink. So you'll see more about this activation. Ross has some very good definitions in his roadmap talking about what activation means. So here's, just a high level scope of the functionality in those. There were several sessions at the conference. If you go and search on XA11, you'll see certain sessions specifically talking about these key topics. Really good stuff. Additional XA11, increased focus on documentations. I'm going to take you to a site now that's been around for a while, and this is docs.infor.com, or what Infor calls Documentation Central. I'll show you a couple pieces here. So if we want to go to ERP, and if you're an LX or a System 21 or an XA customer, you've got options there, all the different ERP systems and the key offerings from Infor. I'm going to go ahead and click on XA, so since that's where I live and breathe. I'm going to pick XA10. And what you'll see here, by the way, if there's a lock symbol here, you need to be an Infor Concierge enrolled customer. If you're not, this is general domain right here without the locks. I'm going to go there, and you'll see all this content here specifically around XA10. Some of the traditional modules that have been basically with updated documentation. In many cases, there aren't many changes in there, but it is at least XA10 level documentation. The golden nuggets that I see down here are right in the specifically what's new in XA10. So for our XA customers, I mean, this is something we've been asking for from Infor for a long time. Can we get better documentation? Can we get it easily available to us? And can you get us more? So there's a direction for in XA11, more and more content. If you are an XA Enterprise Financials customer or eFin customer, you've hopefully noticed that there's a lot more content for eFin than we've seen for various modules in a long, long time. So in my mind, Infor has heard the message of we need more documentation. How can we get to it? How can we get to it easy? And here is a 4-page document just on what's new in XA10. You might go up here, right here is Enterprise Financials. So right here, lots and lots of details about Enterprise Financials. And you'll see that, so this user guide here is 30 pages, right? So lots and lots of stuff, whether that's XA or LX, and kind of taking you through naming conventions and things like that. So I do encourage you to go out to that site, the InfoDoc site. The same would be true if you're embracing the InfoOS technology, what Infor calls platform technology. Lots and lots of information about burst and DEPM and you name it. The local technology runtime is a popular topic right now as far as if you're running InfoOS on premise. But here's content on InfoOS. Again, a locked option if you're in with the Infor Concierge connection, or you can go right to this publicly domain and start clicking through all the options. And there's details upon details upon details, lots and lots of content coming, and in some cases already available. So we encourage you to use that repository there. That's this Infor Documentation Central. There's more and more coming on a continuous basis. A couple of the key notes here about XA11. XA10 is the foundational footprint to move to XA11. So we've got customers out there running XA9. We have a lot of customers that are running some version of 9, 9.1, 9.2, you name it. The stated strategy, and it has been consistent from Infor for some time, is you need to move to XA10 first. So we encourage you to do that. The XA10 move from 9 is similar to a PCM. So if you've applied PCMs from 9.1 to 9.11 to 9.2, those are PCMs. The move to 10 is another PCM or 2 or 3, depending where you're coming from. And at that point, you will be on 10. When you move to 10, you can continue to run it as is. So on Friday, if you were running XA 9.2 with some PowerLink, with some green screen, etc., when you get there on Monday, to XA10, for the vast majority of the users, there's no difference. It just looks the same. And you might say, well, why would I do that? What's the point? And the point there is to embrace two key aspects of it, and that's enterprise financials and the NetLink theme client. So some very good capabilities and function, and it's the foundation then to move to XA11. Sorry about that. So if you are thinking of, okay, how do I get current? How do I stay supported? All those kinds of things, we would strongly encourage you to move to XA10. There are numerous customers who have already done it. They are using all the XA10 all day, every day. And then they are embracing two things, the enterprise financials and the NetLink tools, and I'll cover those shortly. Back to XA11 specifically, any remaining green screen functions are available only through IDF level 1. So the Infor development framework, if you've seen these other tasks in IDF and they look a little bit green screeny, but they are brought into the IDF level 1, that's how you're going to see green screen in XA11, is through IDF level 1. Also, to get to XA11, because the green screen is disappearing, we need to move enterprise financials before or during an XA11 migration. It's a requirement. So the end is really near for AM financials and enterprise financials. You can still run those at XA10, but not at XA11. Two key changes there.
And Tony, there are a couple of questions in the chat, so I wanted to make sure we address those with what you just said. Looks like Martin was asking about EFIN as a requirement. And
It
then,
is. So in order to get to XA11, you need to be at enterprise financials first. Carlos, so IDF level 1, how about SIWA for green screen? So SIWA, System I Workspace Anywhere, are now shortened to System I Workspace. I don't know if Ross is out there, if it's a mandatory requirement, but we would certainly encourage you to do that as well, to get to the System I Workspace, which is a graphical version of basically bringing the NetLink capabilities into a single user experience. And we might get over my head a little bit on that one. That might be a longer discussion, but the System I Workspace is probably something new to most customers who are not running XA10 today. If you're running XA9, you haven't had to deal with System I Workspace. It is a foundational requirement at 10. Thank you, Mike. System I Workspace working well in R10. Yes, we've seen a good amount of customers who have moved to System I Workspace. There's an event that gets you there. You're licensed for it. In the vast majority of cases, you are licensed for System I Workspace by default. You're licensed for NetLink by default. And that process, what we've seen is somewhere from 4 hours to 2 days of services to, if you're running XA9 with no System I Workspace and you want to get to XA10 running NetLink, it's not a big lift. I give you that 4 to 16 hours because we don't quite know exactly where you're coming from, but it's WebSphere and System I Workspace and the link manager and you name it to get installed. But they're tools that you're licensed for. We leverage WebSphere on the IBM server as the internet server on that box. And by the way, so if you move to XA10 and want to start tinkering, that's a great way to do it. You don't have to affect the users. They can continue to run PowerLink and green screen and all the things that they do all day, every day. And in the background, be enabling NetLink, and then have a user or 2 or 10 or your power users or a certain group in the company to start saying, what if I started using NetLink? It can coexist very, very well with PowerLink and the green screen still running on production over here, but maybe I want to start tinkering. Question from Sandra. We hear EFIN and EGLI. I heard that you have been that you have to be EFIN, but you can still use IFM. Let me take a stab at this one. So early on, so IFM, International Financial Management, you can have that. You don't always have to embrace every one of the enterprise financials modules to start moving to enterprise financials. So specifically, could you be running AP and AR in IFM, and then have the enterprise general ledger installed over the top of that and be using the graphical general ledger? That answer is yes. Now that approach tends to date back to 3, 5, 7 years ago. Really, we felt that enterprise financials hit its stride in 2018. And on XA9 was really the first version. 9.2.2 was the first really fully supported version of enterprise financials. Some customers at that point moved to the general ledger first and stayed with IFM's AP and AR. ISE specifically isn't seeing that happen that much anymore. We're seeing people take more of a big bang approach to this and saying, I'm going to move off my green screen financials, AP, AR, GL, and cash, and move in one fell swoop. But you can, as an option, just install the EGL first. And I'm coming to some additional enterprise financials discussions here shortly. In XA11, we talked about the green screen, and you need to move to enterprise financials before or during the XA migration, XA11 migration. One key, kind of deviating from the technical part of this, is Ross announced that Hari Mangalan will be basically ramping up into a product management role for XA somewhere over the next 2 to 3 years as Ross determines his strategy moving toward retirement. I just want to shout out to Hari. We've worked with Hari. I know that he's worked with the channel. He's worked with XA and Infor Direct accounts. I'm guessing also with LX accounts. Very, very capable technically, very, very aware of the products and the platforms, and very, very customer available and customer centric. So we see this announcement of Hari as an additional resource in the XA space for us as being really, really good. And I think that as you have worked with Ross or David Foster or some of the other XA resources that you have, you'll hear more and more about Hari. He really brings a lot to the ballgame. Very Infor.OS literate as well. So as we talk about Infor.OS and using more things like ION and workflows and document management and those types of pieces, really has a lot of integration knowledge as well. So really pleased to hear that announcement at the show. Let's talk about Infor.OS. So at XA10, Infor.OS is fully enabled with XA10 and NetLink. So if you want to use the Infor.OS user experience as an umbrella over the top of XA10 and NetLink, that is now enabled. You can't do it over XA9 and PowerLink. So NetLink has to be that first foundational prerequisite at XA10. We are the majority of the customers out there that are using Infor.OS, I did that again, are using the ION capabilities of Infor.OS. But ION is only one small portion of the Infor.OS footprint. Infor continues to expand Infor.OS in many different ways. ION is that piece of middleware, that XML handler that handles things, for instance, with many customers using WMS or CPQ or EAM or connecting to CRM, whether that's Salesforce.com or Infor CRM or something else. It's that piece of middleware that is that XML handler. It's good, it's stable, it's been around now for 8 years or more. And we see a lot of customers who have embraced the ION capabilities. But well beyond Infor.OS is or well beyond ION in Infor.OS is Infor document management, integrated workflows, Infor.OS as that user experience over XA, and also single sign-on. If you want to accomplish single sign-on for XA, the way to do that is through Infor.OS as the umbrella over the top of XA. So there are more and more customers embracing that full user experience. That's what gets me the integration to workflow, gets me the integration to document management, you name it. So there was a lot of activity at the conference about Infor.OS. I've got some announcements of what we want to do next year as well. And a key point here is In4OS multi-tenant is the long-term strategy for Infor. So early users of In4OS installed that locally. It's very, very stable, but it's a fairly big lift to get it. It's 3 or 4 or 5 VMs to install In4OS locally on premise. Infor has a stated direction with moving that to the multi-tenant cloud In4OS. And we've just seen where customers who are installing and implementing In4OS, we've gone from a multi-day, relatively expensive services engagement to get it running to almost just turning it on in the cloud with a subscription model in the cloud. And then we can start talking about how do I integrate it with my ERP, with my edge applications, you name it. So there's more and more activity going on. By the way, this screenshot right here, this is XA10 in NetLink. So this is XA, what many of you customers are used to seeing in PowerLink or green screen. This is what XA can look like. Images, graphs, multiple windows, you name it. It's here. It's being used on a regular basis by the customers who have moved to XA10, and XA10 is once again that foundation to get there. One other comment on In4OS is there's a lot of YouTube content covering In4OS as well. Webinars that have been run by the partners, Infor published In4OS content. So just head on out to YouTube and check out In4OS details. I'm sorry, I've got a problem with my mouse here. I'm sorry to be bouncing around on this. Enterprise financials. So let's talk about that. There is substantial momentum in the install base across the 3 platforms. We strongly encourage that you would work with Infor or your channel partner to plan the move. In the XA space, both AM or IFM footprints can move directly to enterprise financials. So the AM tools, accounting management, have been around literally since the late 80s. We still have customers that are using that. It's kind of the devil they know, and it's pretty rudimentary, but it accomplishes basically PARGL. Starting around 2000, more and more customers started moving to the IFM, International Financial Management Module, and many XA customers are running that one. Both of these are natively green screen and very, very green. Enterprise Financials is a fully enabled, PowerLink enabled version of financials. It's fully enabled in XA10. It came out live in XA 9.2, and there were customers that moved to it in 9.2, going back to about 2018 or so. So we're 5-7 years into this specific footprint. There's more and more activity going on. The key point there is there's no more green screen financials. Once you move to enterprise financials, it is PowerLink and NetLink only, and green screen is gone. So there was several sessions at the conference about how do I get there from AM financials, how do I get there from IFM financials, tips and tricks, you name it. So just really good momentum for that, as probably one of the last main sets of tools in XA that has been green screen only. A project, just some high ideas on an enterprise financial project. Common approach would be 3 to 9 months. If it's something less than 3 would be pretty aggressive. More than 9, especially on a single site environment, means for some reason we've lost momentum on a project like that. So why that long? It is a new set of financials, new terms, new tools, new mouse clicks, all in PowerLink. Might be actually a new interface for your green screen finance people to use. Many of our customers will also consider changing their chart of accounts when they move to the new financials. So if you've got a chart of accounts that's been around for 20 years, 10 years, something like that, the finance folks that are running the business might look and say, yeah, our business has changed dramatically since we installed that chart of accounts. Maybe we're limited in how you could roll it out because of the capabilities in AM financials 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and now we've got much more capability. So we will have a lot of customers that will look and say, I'm going to change my chart of accounts. That introduces more time, but it does result in a better long-term implementation of the financials. These are truly new financials, but they do leverage existing XA data. You know, your inventory, your planning data, your financial data, your costing data, all of that information can feed up into these new financials. If you are a PowerLink or NetLink company already, then this also leverages your PowerLink and NetLink skills. I mean, it's a familiar user interface, maybe not so much to your finance folks, but they may also be dabbling in different things if they're bouncing over to look at CSM for their customer data, or over in procurement management for purchasing or things like that. So it's a different set of financials, but it certainly falls within the ecosystem of XA very, very well. One final note on there is the move to enterprise financials is certainly much more of a financials project. Your CFO and controller and your people in AP and AR, those are the people most involved. IT is certainly involved in the early assessment of this and the data migrations and things like that. But the vast majority of that effort falls to your finance folks. So that's what we know there. Kind of wrapping up, and I'm a little bit over time here. So artificial intelligence and machine learning had some great sessions at the conference. Early on, Todd Donzelli spoke in the keynote session. Also, we had some other sessions from both IBM and some of the partners as well. You know, a quick read that I had on this is many companies are finding their way, looking to get started. They're hearing from their executives of, you know, what are we doing about AI? I think we had a lot of people come to the conference and say, okay, well, you know, what does that mean to me? You know, some key takeaways. I think you could go out on the internet and find things that would conflict with everything I'm about to say, and hopefully a lot more that would say, no, this does make sense. First of all, accurate data is key, big data is key, and speed is key. Meaning I have to have good data in my system that's going to drive any kind of machine learning or AI strategy. The more data, the better. I can't have a 2-month sample of data. I need, you know, 2 years, 5 years, whatever. That really is going to drive this initiative. And speed, meaning real time. You know, AI doesn't say, well, you know, submit something and I'll tell you about it tomorrow. In this day and age, we're looking for data right now. Some real world applications. I was talking with a customer and he was saying, you know, I know what AI is, and I know about the hype, but we've been doing AI for a long time. And, you know, a good example of this is if you think of plant floor machines that are gathering data, maybe it's a laser machine or something like that. And I've got standards in my routings that says that I've got to build 200 of these parts running through the laser. And my standards say that to build those 200 takes me 4 days. Well, if I can get good solid feedback from my laser that says, okay, no, it only took me 3 days when things go well and we really know what we're doing now on the floor, can I get that real data that says, okay, the standards are wrong. We're really running at 3 days. Can I feed that back to the planning system so that the next time I have that job or a similar job coming through, I'm planning my floor to 3 days, not 4 days. Well, what am I going to do with that 25% improvement in efficiency? Can I run more product? Can I do the next job? Can I save on setups? All those kinds of things. So we really feel that ERP is an enabler for AI and machine learning. Maybe we were doing it before it was cool, but then there's so much more that we can do to really leverage AI. And I think we're early in that. Infor has some good options. IBM talked about options. I stopped in at both of those sessions at the conference. Both of them were full. It's just people trying to get ideas. And a key focus we had at the conference was can you give us rubber meets the road ideas of these sessions? So it's not, you know, too ethereal out there saying, you know, this is what you can do. We're assuming most of the people that come to the conference are trying to go back to their executive leadership team saying, these are some of the things we heard. These are some of the areas we might be able to leverage AI and machine learning. So I do think we'll have more and more of that as the years go forward here. So that's really the core of the presentation. I want to wrap up with what's next in 2025. So first of all, save the date. We are firm now at the Ingleside once again in Pewaukee. It's basically the same week as this year, the final full week of September. In this case, it's starting on Monday, September 22nd. If you're looking to budget for next year, our goal is to keep the enrollment for a full enrollment, meaning Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning at no more than 12,000. And if we can, as we work through the details with the Ingalls side and partners and you name it, we'd have a target still remaining near $1,000 for a full enrollment. We also have single day passes, and we've seen some good interest in those. This year, those were $300 each. So if you're relatively local, or if you just don't have the time to come, but you want to pick out a specific day, we will work to have those the session content available as quickly as possible. But that's been a popular option as well. The other option too is this more educational content. So, truly functional usage, experts from the field, experts from Infor, the partners, or user experts, those power users that are out there and saying, this is how I used my ERP system to do X. We do have some plan changes, considering some options for the Monday Enterprise Integrator event, probably more workshops. We're talking about an Infor OS educational session on Monday, probably a full day or 2 half days or something like that, specifically getting deep into Infor OS usage. For many of our customers, Infor OS is a little bit of a black box of data comes in and data comes out, and generally that's very, very good. But what if it doesn't? And people trying to do more, not only with Infor applications, but with other edge applications. Can I get out to different CRMs, different warehouse management systems, different tools of some kind? So more and more focus on Infor OS and Ion sessions. And we are talking about an enterprise integrator track that would also be in Tuesday, and somewhere in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, a little more of a right now the enterprise integrator track is on Monday only, but we're talking about bringing that in to a Tuesday, Wednesday sessions as well. Oh, did I just say 12K? 1,200 would be the goal. So thanks for catching me on that one. Questions? Anything else that, Monica, you seen anything else coming in?
I'm not seeing anything else that's popped up in the Q&A box. So I think you've addressed most of them as we've gone through the presentation, but of course, if anyone has any questions, they can reach out afterwards as well.
All right, well, thank you. We'll keep it open a little bit longer here, just in case. What we most likely will be doing beyond this pre-announcement is January, February types of messages. They come out through the Work Out Loud platform. That is our community for this group. That covers LX System 21 and XA users, all running on that IBMI platform. I would hope to have some things firmed up. Last year, we were in that March, April timeframe, getting more and more details pulled together. If you have requests for certain content, we certainly welcome that input. If you have requests for, hey, I've got a session and I'd love to run it, we really welcome that. And any kind of input we can get from the field as we build this about logistics, things that work, things you love, things you didn't like. It's all about trying to improve this on a year-to-year basis. Question we had, can you move from EFIN without any changes to the GL chart of accounts? Bill, we can take that one offline. I'm going to get over my head here quickly on that. You don't have to change the general concept of your chart of accounts. I think we probably have some changes depending if you're coming from AM or IFM, but it doesn't have to be whole scale changes. If that's something you set up recently and it still works for your business, the general approach could be the same. There may be some specifics of field lengths and things like that, but the concept of how you run your business wouldn't have to change financially. All right. Well, I thank everybody for their attendance today. I thank you for your interest in and support of inPower. I thank the user groups once again for everything they do to contribute. And we will be working hard to come up with more. Just really appreciate everybody who's joined us and is, you make this an event and a success. We're really happy to be part of it. And happy holidays to everybody. And we will be talking to you in early 2025. And thank you, Monica.